La tercera sessió i darrera, que no per això menys interessant, i per aquesta sessió que porta per títol Les tecnologies de la informació, els mitjans de comunicació i les tecnologies del màrqueting, la seva repercussió dels canvis de les regles del joc per a les destinacions de muntanya i els actors implicats. Les noves tecnologies, les macrodades i la digitalització estan revolucionant tots els sectors, i el del turisme no és una excepció. En aquesta sessió abordarem com aquest sector està en auge i la seva repercussió en les destinacions turístiques. Tractarem en les diferents ponències factors que van des dels metabuscadors, passarem per com generar dades i sobretot com gestionar aquestes dades, el que vindria a ser una mica el Big Data, com el nou màrqueting visual impacta i influència en les destinacions, el poder de les imatges, i finalment, i baixant una mica el que vindria a ser potser una mica més la gestió hotelera, analitzarem com optimitzar i gestionar el revenue management, però amb un enfoc principal en la gestió de la informació que tenim del client, no tant amb l'historical data que fins ara havíem estat treballant. Com a ponents per a aquesta sessió tenim el Nishimura. L'Hiro es va graduar a la McGill University, Canadà, i va obtenir el seu doctorat a la Universitat Nippon Dental Centre de Recerca Farmacèutica el 1998. El 1984, l'Hiro va fundar la IDB Corporation, una empresa de solucions de programació de viatges. I el 2001, en col·laboració amb el Ki i amb Kinisha Shibata, Venture Republic, va crear el sistema de metacercadors Travel GP. L'edició de l'IPO de Venture Republic Inc. va tenir lloc a Japó el 2008 i posteriorment el 2013. Hiro és actualment membre del Consell d'Administració. En segon lloc tenim el Christopher Hinteregger, és expert en turisme i compta amb gairebé 15 anys d'experiència en el sector turístic i de desenvolupament de destinacions. Va cursar estudis de gestió turística a l'IMC de Krems, a Àustria. Després d'això va treballar durant 13 anys a Cole & Partner, la principal consultora turística de la regió alpina. Allí va ser responsable dels projectes de desenvolupament de destinacions internacionals i va arribar a convertir-se en soci de l'empresa. Durant la seva estada a Cole & Partners va implementar més de 50 projectes turístics a 19 països i va participar en més de 30 conferències sobre turisme internacional a 17 països. Imparteix l'assignatura de consultoria internacional desenvolupament de destins a la Universitat de Ciències Aplicades de Krems, a Àustria. Des de començaments del 2017, en Christoph treballa al Tours Destinations, una empresa que ofereix solucions informàtiques per a destinacions turístiques. És responsable del Departament de Serveis en Destí, que ofereix diversos serveis en el camp de la digitalització de destinacions turístiques. El Tours Destinations compta amb dues marques, Skyline, eines informàtiques d'oci per resorts de muntanya, i Peak Solutions, que és una solució de venda en línia per a destinacions turístiques. En tercer lloc, tenim el Dan Hollowak. En Dan és cofundador i director executiu de Crow Reef, treballa estretament amb líders del sector de viatges i del turisme i el màrqueting per tal de trobar les solucions més avançades per obtenir i escalar contingut visual que atregui les audiències. Adora el Big Data, el contingut general pels usuaris i automatització del màrqueting. Crow Reef és una plataforma de màrqueting visual que utilitzen més de 250 empreses turístiques per descobrir, organitzar, llicenciar i publicar el contingut visual més atractiu per a qualsevol canal i qualsevol escala. I finalment, comptem amb el Neville Isaac. En Neville Isaac és originari d'Escòcia i compta amb més de 25 anys d'experiència en petites i grans organitzacions de diversos països, especialitzant-se en gestió d'ingressos, revenue, distribució i valorització, fixació de preus. Ha estat una de les figures clau en la concepció i implementació de l'estratègia d'ingressos del grup NH durant més de 11 anys i en diverses posicions tant a nivell mundial com nacional. També imparteix gestió de revenue management en diverses universitats de tota Espanya. Actualment s'encarrega del Departament d'Experiència del Client de Beyond Price, oferint solucions de gestió d'ingressos a clients de tot el món. Sense més preàmbuls, donem pas a l'exposició del senyor Hiro. Gràcies.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Buenas tardes a todos. This is a word I learned today. Thank you for inviting me this conference. From Tokyo. How many people visited Japan? Oh, there are quite a few. Okay, I'm going to talk about how travel industry in Japan right now and unique trends that's happening there, and a little bit about my company. I founded 18 years ago. Can I have slides? Okay, sorry. Oh, anyway, this is a picture I taken about a couple of years ago. I fly by myself around Asia mainly, and I was going to fly my aircraft, but I calculated it takes about seven days, so I decided not take Singapore Airlines from Tokyo to Singapore, 8 hours, 7 hours, 777. And I flew from Singapore to Barcelona, 13 hours, Airbus 350. It was a very comfortable flight. Anyway. Okay. We are Venture Republic Group running a meta search called Travel.jp, mainly for Japanese users, only in Japanese right now. But we have subsidiary company Trip 101 based in Singapore and Allstay based in Seoul, Korea. And we are a group of multinational meta search companies. This is all in Japanese, those the top page. And also smartphones. And we are about number 4 right now. As far as the traffic is concerned, the top 3 is OTAs, the big ones like Rakuten and TripAdvisor, a Japanese TripAdvisor. And in Asia-based, Tuner from China is the leader of the meta search. And of course, Skyscanner is, you can see the maps over there. Doing business in many countries in all over Asia. This is only Asia. And Travel.jp is, although it's only in Japan and Japanese, we are number 3 in traffic. And as global, Trivago is the leading the Skyscanner, and Kayak is following, Hotels Combined, and of course, Chinese Tuner. And we are about, it's catching up, but as you can see, we are doing only in Japan, so if we can expand to other countries in Japan, we will maybe catch up to Tuner or Hotels Combined. And unique feature of our business is meta search, and we started a content division 4 years ago, which is growing very rapidly. I'll talk about this later. And also private accommodations and local activities. I'll talk about those items later on. Yes, Japan travel market. The size does matter. Japan is, after Germany, we are number 4. United States is leading, and China, and Germany, and Japan. And absolute terms, total GDP, Japan is the 3rd after China. And of course, Chinese population is 1.3 billion plus, and Japan is only 0.1 billion. And the money they spend in China is $215.4 billion US. But Japan is spending a very good, high amount of money, $127.6 billion. And amount of consumption, Japanese trillion yen, is, as you can see, the blue lines is all domestic. Major spending spent in Japan. The Japanese is spending most of the money in domestic. But inbound tourism surges right now. after 2015, you can see the red line overcame the blue lines, which is the Japanese travelers movement. It says the projection is the government projection projecting that around 2020, 40 million visitors visiting Japan. So the Japanese government is put more money before the Olympics and of course after the Olympics, 2020, to promote tourism to Japan. And this slide shows how big is travel industry in Japan will be in 2030. The automotive, 2015, automotive and mechanical electric equipment is the major GDP part. But you can see 2030, Japanese travel market overcome automobile industry. And of course, inbound travel, 30% from China, and Taiwan, and South Korea, and Hong Kong. Most visitors are from China because Japanese government released the regulation, lower the hurdle of visa application for Chinese. And travelers, 2020, China outbound market, Chinese are traveling like this growth is dramatic. And this picture is one cosmetics shop in Tokyo, and Chinese tourists buying many cosmetic and pharmaceutical goods in Tokyo. And unique trends in Japan. Of course, mobile is everywhere. But Japan is, we have such a, well, the country is relatively small, so we have a very good mobile connection, 4G, very fast communication, and probably in a couple of years they will start 5G. And the mobile is very popular in Japan. And China also. In Japan, Japan here is have a mobile smartphone is more than 60%. And of course, China is a very good market there. And smartphones are growing. And this is traffic analytical data in a Travel JP database. More than 70% of traffic comes from smartphones, and only 30%. And now it's about 80% this year. And the mobile share of online travel gross booking market is 2016. Japan is around 30%. You can see China is more than 50% booked through internet. And this is something curious, like travel mobile apps versus browsers. The mobile phone browser, if you are thinking about the apps and difference between browser and app, it looks the same if you look at those screens. But apps is, you have to download the apps. And browser, you can go deep link through Google. But the development phase, the browser screen is much, much easier to modify and develop. So the browser is very unique to travel industry. Maybe not in Japan though. And the apps, you can see the red, the graph there, 68% auction and SNS and free video, comic, commerce. Those are apps are more stronger than the browser. And the meta search, 96% are used by browsers. And internet users in Japan, population is about 126 million, and internet users is more than 100 million. Feature phone is still be used, about half of the users, but feature phone can also connect to internet. And the apps, 29 apps being used per each person in 2016. Right now, maybe 33, 34. And this shows the time that users versus the apps and browsing. The apps, probably this graph shows that the SNS and some messaging platform like Facebook Message, for example, they use apps. That's why the time being used by apps is more. And offline versus online. In Japan, only 30% online booking. Europe, probably, if this is 2015, 40% online penetration. US and APAC is still slow. China is more than 60%, but other countries like besides Japan and China and Korea is very low usage in online booking. And sales volumes by travel agencies, like the big, well, the top one is JTB, is one of the biggest around the world. The second one is Rakuten, that's big, like Amazon, you know, like they also sell travel product. And breakdown of category of travel agencies. Overseas trip, from Japan to overseas, Japanese customers like tour packages because it's very easy and cheaper and convenient. Versus domestic ones, also almost 50%, they buy package tours because it's cheaper. Maybe the price is the matter. And OTA market is changing, and transaction volume from 2011 to 2015, after 4 years, the volume, as you can see, 89 million to 240 million. And this one is loyalty. The Rakuten has an ecosystem, users, 108 million users. They buy shopping and payment and credit card, and they get points, Rakuten points. So the loyalty program is doing very well under Rakuten ecosystem. And there are two other point systems in Japan, which is very popular. T-Point, together with Yahoo, and Airbnb is also a member of T-Point, and the customer can gather points using if they use Airbnb and Yahoo, for example. And Japan Airlines and those travel agents, Ponta is another loyalty program. And content, is it a king? We started the content business about 4 years ago. It's growing very rapidly. And what is content? Well, we hired more than 500 semi or professional bloggers and accumulated more than 30,000 of articles. Not by, for example, if you think about TripAdvisors, anybody can, post the articles very easily, but we select the only professional articles, which leads to customers' recognition. It's loyalty. And those pictures, too, it's all copyrighted. We have copyright, and the writers also have copyright. And we have a contract with the Line, which is the biggest messaging platform in Japan. Maybe some of you heard about Line. We send a single article every day, so the Line users can be pushed those contents every day. And they start thinking about where do they want to go, just looking at those pictures, and domestic and international. And we have 46,000 as of October fans, and it's growing. And this is a very good example of a Chinese customer from Hong Kong read an article in our site, visited northern Hokkaido to take a look at those blueberry. And the blueberry contents was like this here. One writer wrote the article about blueberry in Hokkaido, and some people from Hong Kong just read about it, and he decided to fly all the way from Hong Kong to northern Hokkaido to take a look at those blueberry farm. And this is the writer's name, and she is very happy about this happening. And yes, I'll talk about the uniqueness of our site. We have private accommodation comparison. We are one of the few companies in Japan with direct connection with Airbnb API. They seldom use their APIs to companies like us, like MetaSearch. But we have so many traffic, so they decided to do business with us. So we send customers to Airbnb website, and after each booking, we get some commission from them. And also from content, we lead customers to private accommodations, local activities. Those are the articles, and every week, 140 new articles. Yes, this is the picture. It shows influencer can influence all the users. And the dreaming phase, and researching and planning and booking, exploring. In destination, we provide those pictures and information wherever they travel using their smartphones. Yes, those messaging platform, Line has almost 70 million users in Japan, and all over the world, 220 million. The big one is over there, and WeChat in China. Well, population in China is very huge. So the Line and the messaging platform is very important. We are putting more effort, business with Line right now. And we collaborate with the destination and travel brands with some destination leader. This is a good example with Lufthansa. They want to promote the premium economy seat to women. So we sent one of our editors. We picked up among 600 from them and picked one single writer, and she wrote an article. Actually, she flew Lufthansa premium economy class and wrote an article, and Lufthansa's website increased like this after customers see those websites. They may probably stimulated the ladies to fly Lufthansa premium economy class. And also Hotel Okura, we sent writers to write their, just, experiences and stay. And some prefectures, remote prefectures, north-up in Japan. We wrote some of those good articles. Yes, this is a Trip 101 subsidiary company in Singapore. They started their business about 4 years ago, and right now they are putting more effort to farm trips to travel influencers. What this means is there are some very good travel influencers which can influence customers, and they don't have much money, for example. And some airlines and hotels can provide a free trip to those influencers. So we connect those influencers between those providers, airlines and hotels. And this is matching farm trips to travel influencers. So travel influencers can write articles, and hotels and airlines can get more customers influenced by those influencers. And also, this is an example of direct sales in metasearch. This is a very important thing. Hotels can, they don't want to pay commissions to OTAs. They want to maximize their profit, but they don't know, they don't have a mean to get traffic from natural traffic using the ACO technique. So we help them to put, this is a kind of advertisement on the top of results screen. Yes, this is an Airbnb example. And I'm going to this graph shows the local, in destination access is very important. You see the peak season, the access over there, that shows the people accessing local information while they're traveling. So we push more information to the users using smartphones. Oh, this is the thing I want to. There are 90 pages of PowerPoint in my presentation. I'm sorry. It's almost. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. The inbound sales are booming, but the young travelers are decreasing because the population in Japan is decreasing. 1 million people die right now, every year, and there used to be 1.2 million births. But the birth rate is decreasing. It's almost 0.9. And so the Japanese population is declining. So what can we do? We need to stimulate young travelers to travel more. So Recruit, one of the biggest OTA in Japan, decided to do a project to stimulate snow activities in Japan, started called Snow Magic campaign back in 2011. What they did is to offer 19 years old free, is limited to 19-year-old for free ride to a lift ticket. Like, for example, usually the lift ticket costs about $50 for a day. It will be free. at any ski resort. It's the big project. And why 19? They did a research. 19 year is in typical Japanese family, up to high school, the parents pay the fee for a child. But at the 19, when they get into college, they have to pay by their own. So that they decided that the age 19 is the best time to stimulate the needs. So that it exceeds 90%. In total, close to 1 million new skiers were created. In terms, items needed to care about is those 4 items. Those are the very important thing you can take a look at later. It will not be realized without industry cooperation, sharing a sense of crisis, and very important. It began the timing that made it easier to unique. And those, it will not be chosen forever unless consumers, features, customers are given consumption habits. Conversely, leisure is attractive, so it will be a posing market for the hype experiences. Okay, I don't have time. This is the business model. And post good look contents. This is a destination management. It's not a destination management organization. I created myself. Display mosaic optimization. This is how to increase the download. It's covered the best price field with mosaic on the web page. And the best price will be shown only by search through an app, so customer can have to download the app to see the mosaic. Okay, this is that's all for my presentation. Sorry, I haven't interrupted my. If you have any questions, maybe can you email me anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hiro. La propera presentació és a càrrec del senyor Christopher. El títol de la presentació és Com generar i fer servir dades dels clients d'alta qualitat en destinacions turístiques.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Christopher.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry? Okay. Now the microphone is on. Good afternoon, everybody. Warm welcome also from my side to this Congress. Albert already said actually almost everything that you can see on this slide about myself. I'm a tourism consultant focusing on destination development. I've worked for several companies in the last year for an IT company offering IT solutions for tourism destinations. So actually, I want to start showing you a picture that I'm not always wearing a suit when I'm working. This is me a few years ago. And of course, there is a story to this picture. I mean, you maybe see that I not look very relaxed on this picture. And then you can see that something is wrong with the vehicle that is in the background of the picture. So basically, I was assigned a few years ago to make a tourism destination strategy for a Russian region in the northern part near the polar circle, Yamal. And they sent me there on a site visit. And in February, they decided that I should not only experience the capital, but I should also go to live with the natives there in a tent, approximately 150 kilometers far away from everything, from every civilization. What they did not tell me at that moment was that February is snowstorm season, and what happened actually is that for 3 days I was trapped in this car you can see, where outside the wind was blowing with 160 kilometers per hour, and the temperature was minus 40 degrees. And they told me sometimes it lasts for 3 hours, sometimes for 1.5 weeks. That was quite an experience, and when Paul was talking a lot about experiences, yeah, that was definitely once-in-a-lifetime experience I had maybe, or hopefully, never again. So coming back to my topic about digitalization and how to use big data, of course, we all know and we have heard in the presentation of Dimitrios today that we're living in an age of digital transformation. So IT solutions are definitely changing our world. And we saw a lot of pictures by Dimitrios, what will happen in the near future. We hear in the news all the time about intelligent refrigerators, about drones that will send us or replace the post service, about autonomous cars, all this kind of thing. So at one time, this is, of course, exciting. On the other side, it's also kind of frightening. But one thing is for sure, that we all need to adapt to it, and there is no other way. It will definitely happen. And there will be new business models. Old business models will disappear. There will be new jobs created. Other jobs might be not done by humans anymore. But definitely also tourism destinations need to adjust to this topic. And I would like to continue with a quote. Maybe you don't know this person or don't remember her. She was actually a European Commissioner for Consumer Protection a few years ago from Bulgaria, Ms. Kuneva. And she said something very remarkable already a few years ago. I quote her, "Personal data is the new oil of the internet and the new currency of the digital world." Yeah, and we all know, I mean, it doesn't matter whether we are online or offline, a lot of data is collected. Sometimes we are aware that this data is collected, sometimes not. Sometimes the collected data is used by the companies that are collecting it, sometimes not, and just delete it. Sometimes we have control, sometimes not. Sometimes there are countries where there is quite strong data protection, in others there is not. So it's quite complicated, and now the question is how the big companies are dealing with this kind of currency and what tourism destinations can do. Of course, the global companies, they all understood that collecting data is kind of, gold mining in a way. We all know that Facebook started to be a network of, friends and acquaintances to connect each other. But they soon realized that with all the data they have, there's much more they can do. Of course, not only the global players are interested in collecting data, also small and medium-sized enterprises are collecting data. In many cases, a lot of those companies have loyalty programs, they have bonus cards, where they sometimes collect data and use it, sometimes they are just trying to get repeating customers. So what about tourism? Of course, there are also the global players we all know. There is Booking, there are TripAdvisor. When I saw the presentation of David today, maybe instead of Booking, I can also use big hotel chains, international ones like Melia. They know exactly where you like to travel, when you like to travel, with whom you like to travel, if it's on business or on private. So a lot of data is collected by them. But now the important question for my presentation today, and on a local and regional destination level, who is actually generating this new currency? How? And what are they doing with it? So first of all, we need to have a look on the tools that are already there in order to collect data in a way. Whether it's data or big data, we need to think about this. Okay, a lot of destinations or tourism companies, you can subscribe for newsletters. Sometimes some data is required, sometimes only the email address you need to fill in, and then that's it, basically. And what happens is that, of course, it's nice because you get a newsletter, but in the majority of the cases, a lot of unuseful information is also kind of provided to you. Because if I'm not a golfer, I'm not interested in getting information about special offers at the golf course, or if there's a golf package or something like this. If I'm not a hiker, or if I'm a young person actually, and I get a family offer, this is something, I will have a look one time and then never again I'll look at this newsletter. So, it's not that I'm saying newsletters are not a good thing to share information, but it's not the right thing to collect data. Social media, of course, a lot of destinations and touristic companies on a local and regional level offer the opportunity to follow the destination or the company on Facebook or other social media platforms. Again, with the same effect that the company or the destination does not really know a lot about those customers or those people that sign in. They don't even know whether they are customers, whether they will become customers in the future, whether they already were in the destination for 10 or 15 times. It's quite unknown. And then, of course, in tourism, we have this kind of tourism cards or destination cards. You can maybe think that this is something quite similar to these loyalty programs and bonus cards I was just presenting at the beginning, but it's actually not, because it's more like a discount card in order to motivate people to go to a lot of different attractions, to actually spend a lot of money during the stay there. But it has nothing to do with loyalty, and it has nothing to do with data collection. Sometimes, in some cases, data are collected, in other cases not. Sometimes I know of many examples where data is collected actually, but not used at all. So we already see there are some tools out there where data is collected by local tourism companies or DMOs, but they're not the right tools, or they are not used in the way of really collecting big data or data that provides you with an advantage to better market your existing customers. So the question is how to digitalize your customers. Because the more you know about the customers that are in your destination, the better you can create marketing campaigns, the more add-ons you can sell, and of course you need an access point to communicate with these people. So during the last year working for the IT company, we identified like 5 success factors for customer digitalization on this regional destinational level. The first one is make digitalization one of your top priorities. This sounds obvious, but it's really very important to understand that this kind of process is long-term. It needs to be started, and a lot of human and financial resources are required to really get results. Just to have an online shop is not enough to have a digitalization process. So this is hard work, and it needs sufficient support by the public side or by the company board in order to have enough human and financial resources available. And one thing is for sure, in many DMOs and also in many of the local tourism companies, the job profiles will completely change within the next 5 to 10 years. Completely new profiles will appear on the market, or not on the market, but in the company, because this technology and how to deal with it will definitely create new jobs and new job profiles. Make your tourism products online bookable. Very important thing, because this is exactly the point where you can get access to your customers. So, provocatively said, what is not online does not exist, or what you cannot say, what you cannot book and buy online does not exist. I mean, the younger generation and the future generations, they have a completely different attitude towards booking and buying things and services online. And this is a reality all the destinations and all the local destination companies need to understand and go into the direction of offering exactly what those clients and those generations need. So here you can see on this slide an example from the Swiss mountain resort of Jungfrau. They started already maybe 6 or 7 years ago thinking about what kind of products they want to have online and bookable online. So at the moment you can book like train tickets, you can book ski passes, you can book your accommodation, of course, you can book parking, you can book special events, packages. So a bunch of different activities you can already book online directly. And this is also maybe the big advantage of those kind of destinational platforms. It's not only about the accommodation. Because accommodation, okay, we have companies or platforms like Booking, where it's very convenient for a majority of the people to use it. Why should they go on each destination management organization website to make their booking? But if you know, a destination has the advantage that it can offer a lot of different touristic products and facilities and services, and to make them all online available is definitely something where a customer might accept, you know, to use it and not use booking, because there is kind of like the added value. What is also very important is for many years, in many destinations, it was only possible to book hotels, and then it was hidden somewhere, not very easy to find on the website. Jungfrau, for example, let me just, yeah, it works. This is actually the starting page, and in the header, they only have like 3 different areas. Live, with live information about the region, experience and discover, where all the information is available, and plan and book. So it's very easy to get there and to book, and this is kind of like a sales promotion, so to say. And this already leads me to the kind of third success factor: convert your website into a sales channel. Yeah, if you have a look at the Ljubljana website, for example, the touristic website of Ljubljana, of the city of Ljubljana, on the first page, you already have the chance not to book, but you're kind of, there is kind of a teaser to click on certain elements, facilities, services, or tours, and within 2 clicks, you are able to book online directly. So this is definitely something where a lot of local and regional DMOs need to go also into this direction to convert their websites into sales channels. Number 4, create a remarkable new online product. This is an example you can see on the slide from a very small mountain resort in Switzerland. It's situated close to Zurich, approximately an hour away. And they had a shop online for 1.5 years, and they did not sell anything there because they just had their standard products there. Standard products need either to be cheaper online in comparison to what you pay when you go to the ticket counter, or nobody will use it. So when we worked with them, the first thing was that we wanted to create something remarkable that will be only sold online, in order to make the people to go there, to register, and to buy online. So this remarkable product, of course, differs from destination to destination, as they were very family-oriented, or they are very family-oriented. The product was a season pass where all the kids could use the ski resort for free the whole winter. But doesn't matter, it's not important what they did, but just to understand that they created something that can only be sold online or bought online. And then, of course, it's not enough to only have this remarkable product online. You somehow need to kind of make promotion, and you need to distribute the news that this kind of product exists. So what they did, of course, a lot of online promotion. They used their different social media channels to promote the product. They made some banner campaigns. They made some online campaigns. But at the same time, they also made offline campaigns. So, you know, with billboards, fair booths, and all these kind of things. So it's very important to understand that it's not enough to just have a remarkable product that differentiate our destination from other destinations and fits, of course, to the overall image of the destination. In this case, it was family-oriented, but also to understand that this needs then promotion. And this is something completely different because we are talking about a pure online product. At the end of my presentation, I just want to give you another example from Saas-Fee, also in Switzerland. 3 villages, approximately 150 kilometers of slopes, 13,000 beds, and 1 million overnights. What happened there in the last 10 years, a severe decline in overnights, a lot of hotels closed. It was really kind of a bad situation for them. So you can see, on average, they lost approximately 5% every year in overnights. And then they said, around 2015, we would like, first of all, do something against this, and at the same time, we think that the only chance to survive in a certain way is to digitalize. So what they have done is, again, they created a remarkable product that completely differentiated them from all the other mountain resorts in Switzerland. Of course, it can be discussed whether a price of 222 francs, which is approximately 200 euro for a season pass, is something that is kind of tricky for, or bears the potential to have conflict in the industry, but doesn't matter. I mean, they created a product that was really remarkable on the market. And in order to be on the safe side, they made a crowdfunding project out of it and said, only if a certain level of tickets or seasonal passes will be sold, it is valid. And, yeah, surprise, surprise, they sold more than 80,000 season passes, yeah, only online. And, you know, it's controversially discussed if this is like price dumping and all these kind of things, but I'm only talking about, you know, the effect it had on collecting data. And those were the results. I mean, it's unbelievable that they increased their skier days from one year to the other by 48%. They increased the annual revenue of the roadway company by 20% in one winter, and they increased the annual overnights by 12%. Of course, a lot of money was also spent on marketing. I mean, this has, you know, been taken into consideration. But the most important figure is this one here. 50% of their guests have been digitalized. This basically means a lot of information is available for each of them, and there is the direct contact. So they have all the information they need in order to communicate with them. This is something not a lot of destinations can say about themselves. So in the next step, this was in 2016, 2017, so this winter season, 2017, 2018, they thought about, okay, how can we use the available information and all this data? And they created new online products, of course, and exclusively sold it to those people they already know. And, you know, it's always easier to market products to customers that are already loyal, that are already there, that are your customers, than just make marketing in cities, in other regions, where you have no idea what kind of effect it will have and how many people will really come to your destination. So this is definitely a completely new approach on a regional level of how to digitalize your customers and make use of it. And I think this is something a lot of destinations will think about. It's not necessarily the Swiss model that needs to or can be applied in all the destinations, but there are certain patterns that are definitely very important when you want to digitalize your existing customers and benefit from it at the end. That's basically it, the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. La propera presentació és a càrrec d'en Dan, el màrqueting, senyor del màrqueting, i la seva ponència, el títol és El futur de les tecnologies del màrqueting i com esdevenir una destinació de confiança mitjançant continguts gràfics generats pels seus usuaris. Thank you, Dan.
It's a real honor to be here speaking with you. I want to say a special thank you to UNWTO, to Andorra. It's beautiful here. I had the pleasure of driving up last night. It was a clear evening, just enough clouds that you could see this orange and yellows lighting up over these jagged peaks as you're driving up toward Andorra. It was spectacular. Also, I feel like, because I've been a great beneficiary of our incredible translators at the back. Let's give them a round of applause right now, just to say thank you to our translators. I think it's amazing that they also, thank you. They also have to translate that thank you about themselves, which I thought was going to be kind of fun. And they've been terrific. It's helped me follow along with all of the incredible knowledge being shared today. So, you know, we're going to be talking about something that's been very important to a lot of tourism organizations, and that is how can we use incredible visuals to instill more confidence and trust in our products and in the variety of products that we have as an organization. And my name is, again, Dan Hollowak. I founded CrowdRiff about 4 years ago. We have the incredible pleasure of working with now over 300 destinations and travel organizations. Many of those are mountain-related destinations, some in Europe, in Canada, in the United States, in all over the world. And so when we start here, I wanted to provide some context about why this is so important right now. We are in this new era that I like to call an era of visual decision-making. Now, we've always been a species that's very visual. That hasn't changed. But there are some incredible trends that are converging now that make this so important. One is the incredible volume of photos. There was 1 trillion photos taken on iPhones last year. And whenever you visit a destination, you have to wait for space to take just the perfect photo or selfie. And as you observe this, there's photography being taken all across your destination. There's just so much content. Also, we as humans have to make more decisions every day than ever before. Where are we going to eat? Where to stay? What to do? What to buy? There are so many decisions. We are looking for a way to make those decisions in ways that we feel confident in, that primarily is asking friends and family, trusted friends. But it's also in visual content that we can process faster. If it's authentic, then we can build that trust a lot faster with the organization. You'll observe this behavior whenever you're using sites like TripAdvisor or, say, Yelp or on Instagram. Who could have imagined that we would be planning our trips on Instagram? A lot of us now, when we're in that dream phase of planning a trip, we're bookmarking things on Instagram. There's no prices. You don't know what that trip's going to look like yet, but you are so inspired and drawn to those visuals that we just gravitate towards that before we end up reading text. But it's not just any visual. It's very important that there's a kind of visual that's been really emerging, and that is user-generated content. You've heard a little bit about that today. A study at Elon University found that 2/3 of consumers have used user-generated photos to decide on making a purchase decision, and that 65% of us trust user-generated content over brand content. I think maybe brands have done this themselves a little bit with perhaps photoshopped content, and consumers have with all the advertising that's happening and data and things have sort of come to not trust brands quite as easily. And so if you can find that right mix of user-generated photos with your own brand product photos, it can really instill trust. So now let's talk about some very practical examples of how you can start to implement this kind of photography and video into your destination or resort or tour to better attract and engage travelers. I'm going to share 3 examples with you, and then we're going to talk about the future of this technology and where it's headed in this industry. The state of Colorado started to significantly increase their investment in user-generated content about 3 years ago. And as part of that, they encouraged all of their visitors and locals to use the hashtag #ColoradoLive. Now, you don't have to have a hashtag. It's nice to anchor your messaging around a hashtag, but you can collect and search these photos based on location, accounts, and other information on social media as well. And over the last couple of years, they've started to see thousands of photos and videos produced every single day. And now there's over 100,000 photos on Instagram with the hashtag #ColoradoLive. And these are not just poor quality selfies. I think there is this feeling that photos on social media are of lesser quality, and perhaps it was like that years ago. But the resolution of these photos has increased about 7 times in the years I've been running CrowdRiff. And the quality of the phones we're taking these photos with have improved. And what Colorado is finding is that these photos are actually capturing experiences all across the state. Now, to put it in perspective, Colorado geographically is about the size of the United Kingdom. So one tourism team at Colorado can not possibly cover every corner of the state and the different events and attractions and across every season of what's going on. But the locals and the travelers can, and so they just look to tap into that content. And they were one of the first to really start to leverage this content across their marketing. Now, a lot of people have been using user-generated content as a way to simply repost to Twitter or repost to Instagram, maybe to embed it in a blog post. But what Colorado has been doing is they've been getting full legal rights to these photos. And so when they see a photo like this, a beautiful image, they click a button, and we facilitate this outreach. Looks something like this up on screen. So a comment is placed on this photo that says, "What a beautiful shot. We'd like to use it in our advertising to share with everyone. If you agree and are 18 plus, please reply with hashtag #YesColorado." Now, only the owner of this account can reply with that hashtag, and when they do, our software takes a screenshot of that interaction, saves it to the servers with the timestamp. And there's different ways of getting rights. This is one option, but there's other ways that display legal terms and conditions alongside the photos you're requesting, and then they provide approval. And as a result of this, Colorado now has thousands upon thousands of authentic photos and videos that they can use in print, in digital, in video, and it's really helped to enable their team. As a result, they've amassed millions of followers and just an overall audience size that's continued to grow. And they've served these images 5 million times across channels. Just an incredible amount of content now that they can tap into and share with all kinds of different personas of travelers. And as far as the real economic value, to put this again in perspective, so Colorado welcomed 77 million annual visitors, generated billions in economic impact, over $1 billion in taxes collected, and it's also very important to note that they grew 2 times the national average over the most recent sort of economic challenges facing them in North America. But you don't have to be a huge billions in revenue, tourism destination to take advantage of this content. Blue Mountain is a nice place to go with your family, with friends to go skiing, and they have a small team. They have somebody on their marketing team that has to handle all kinds of marketing, email, social media, etc. And they use user-generated content to populate great images across their website. So they can find these photos, they can do searches for these photos, select what they want, and push it right up onto their website. And it saves them a lot of time and helps them produce more content. Julie is one of their key marketing specialists. And what we heard from her was she loves this real-time aspect. And that's, again, when we talk about building confidence, building trust for a mountain destination, you got to think about the question marks in people's minds. It's like, well, is the snow really... Is there really a lot of powder there right now? Is that sunset that I see from is that like a photo from 2 years ago that they just haven't really refreshed? When you have this real-time content, you can be pushing it up, and instead of it being a year old, these photos can be a day old, and you can say, if you're here skiing, you are going to experience this right now. This is what people are experiencing right now. This is what enjoying a nice beverage after you're done skiing feels like now in the sunset, and all of those experiences around the mountain. And then within the resort, they also display these visuals up on screen. So when you're waiting in line for lift tickets, or for rentals, or eating lunch, you see these photos up on slideshows on screens all over the resort. It does a couple of things. It really recognizes those guests and travelers that are taking and sharing photos with who knows how many hundreds or thousands of their friends on social media. And it also introduces the people that are there to other things that they can see and do. Maybe there's different parts of the resort they haven't experienced, or spas, or tubing, or luge, or different experiences that they can have that they see in those photos. And as Dan here says, it's about those in-the-moment stories that you want to capture. Another really important topic, and this is an amazing byproduct that's created from user-generated content, and that's diversity. Diversity is incredibly important. It always has been, but it's so incredibly important today. And with user-generated content, you not only get diversity of seasons, diversity of your products, but diversity of people. Right? Whether it's a girls' weekend to Blue Mountain, or it's a family, families from different backgrounds all over the world coming to visit, it would take a lot of money to hire people, to hire models to be in these photos, and it still wouldn't be as powerful. And if you have the benefit of having people from all over the world come visit, even if there's not a lot of them, they are still going to be taking some of those photos. If you can capture that, you can certainly use that in your marketing. And this was working so well for Blue Mountain that they were featured in the New York Times as helping new immigrants to Canada kind of experience skiing, experience winter, and how they welcomed them and introduced them to the ski resort. And I just think that says a lot. We heard about the importance of building empathy for other ways of life, and I think that being able to showcase the diversity of people in your destination will just help encourage that. Now let's go a little bit further west to British Columbia. They've been doing a lot of incredible work in tourism, and they're one of our partners we've been working with for many years. British Columbia built this experience. I believe it's the first in the world completely visual trip planning tool powered entirely by Instagram in this case. So they were able to organize these photos and then categorize and tag them so that you could make them very browsable. So what you can do is you can open up the BC Explorer experience, click on Mountain Experiences, click a filter, and now we've got all the mountain-related experiences across British Columbia. Again, you could scroll for hours on Instagram trying to find all of these, but what they've done is just help the consumer put the images together, and they've curated that experience to guide their brand. You can click on an image that seems interesting to you, see more information, link to articles, link to evergreen native content that helps with SEO. You can even see these photos on a map so that you can get an idea of where, what you're interested in. And I often think, wouldn't it be great to start the dream state of being inspired to travel by just clicking on things that look good to you? Just being presented with like food and activities and landscapes and music, like concerts and all kinds of things. You're just like, yeah, I like all these things. Now can you build me an itinerary around these things that I like? Maybe I haven't decided on the exact destination yet or the number of days I'm going to stay, but I think this really helps with that early state of planning, and I love that. And so for British Columbia, they're generating about $17 billion in annual tourism revenue. 34% of Canadian ski trips are traveling out to British Columbia. And they've now had 3 million images shared with Explore BC. And actually, the province of British Columbia now has 7 million photos captured in CrowdRiff across the social networks from locals and visitors in BC that they can search and then request rights to. So let's take a moment and talk about the future of where things are headed. So as I mentioned, there's a couple of great trends and technologies that are converging. It's a great time to be in marketing in travel and tourism. The first is that in my time at CrowdRiff, it started out with social media hubs, and people would say, oh yes, we do the social media thing. It's over there on our website on this separate page. And that's how it started. We started just to test. But now it's becoming very mainstream. Now it's powering blogs, it's powering digital ads, it's being used in video, it's being used in print guides. We have customers that are generating entire print guides with traveler-generated photos, front to back, which I didn't realize I was going to see in this quickly. It's very exciting. And we're working with publishers like Lonely Planet that are now starting to use these images in their articles. And I think those are all great signals of the quality of this content. As more and more destinations are using user-generated content, there's a real need for collaboration. we've partnered with Destination Canada to build the first nationwide partner network for content that helps people collaborate and co-create content. What this means is that there's a lot of value generated when, say, somebody at the Royal Ontario Museum, you've got a museum attraction down here, they've got a new exhibit, they've got some great photos coming in. Well, Toronto's interested in that content, and Ontario's also interested, and Canada's also interested. And when you connect all of these stakeholders across tourism, you generate a lot of value and reduce the number of emails and phone calls that are going back and forth saying, hey, what's going on in your region? What's happening next week? You know, do you have a photo for this that I could use? Now they can actually reach in to these different collections of photography across regions and attractions and resorts and access that content immediately. And of course, to make a special mention, given big data and all the great conversations here about artificial intelligence and machine learning, now that we have this enormous volume, right, of photos, more photos than we know what to do with, AI and machine learning are important. This is a video. My wife and I got married last summer. We had our honeymoon in Norway, and this was a fjord tour. And this video we ran through CrowdRiff, and it identified all the keywords related to the video based on the scene in the video. So now you've got searchable video catalogs, and you can find content quickly, which is really important when there's a lot of visual content in front of you that you can access. So this technology now works with photos and with videos. You can also identify the right kinds of photos, right? Social media has all kinds of photos, good and bad, stuff you'd never want to use for your brand, and stuff that's amazing. We now have algorithms to identify the quality of images so that we can separate the things that you're going to love from the things that you just don't need to see and will never use. And that's just helping overall increase efficiency. So, to summarize, I think you should consider the power of user-generated content in the diversity that it can bring to the seasons, the products, the people in your destination, and in how that builds trust. In the volume of content that you can then use for incredible personalization, because you have so much content now, you can find little niche buckets and themes to target different personas. And of course, the ability to do all of this at a new level of scale. I would love to speak with you if you have an interest in this area, share more ideas from our customers and our experience. So please come find me or just send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. The last presentation, Nevi from Beyond Price, i la ponència que farà Nevi és raons per les quals fer que la seva estratègia de gestió d'ingressos giri al voltant del client. L'ajudarà a maximitzar els beneficis. Gràcies, Neville.
Good afternoon. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's 6 o'clock. You've been here all day. You've seen loads of cool stuff. And now there's a guy going to come and talk about revenue management? I promise not to bore you. Actually, revenue management is very relevant to some of the things that we've seen today already. And I would also suggest that if you start putting in practice all the things you've seen today, and you have great marketing campaigns, and you do lots of things to generate business, you then need to make sure that when that business comes to your hotel, you optimize your income and your profits. And that's where revenue management comes in. I think Albert already presented me at the beginning, so we'll skip that one. What are we going to talk about? I'll try to be brief. I'm not going to talk about numbers too much. You'll be glad to hear. A bit of a definition of what revenue management traditionally is. Then I'm going to talk about customer-centric revenue management, which is something that we do in Beyond Price, which was not possible before, but now that we have a lot more data sources and a lot more information, we can be more precise in our strategies. And I'm going to look a bit about the purchase process. How do customers look for hotels? What do they look for? And how can that influence the way that you price your products? talk a little bit about digital transformation. It's been mentioned a lot today. Technology can help you to run your business in a different way. And if you ask me where to draw the line between revenue management and marketing, and operations and sales, I don't really know, because they're converging, and technology is helping to do that. So you need the tools to enable you to organize your business in a different way. And briefly, return on investment. Revenue management, including revenue management technology, which is what we do in Beyond Price, shouldn't really be seen as a cost for your hotel, because it's not a cost, it's an investment in you increasing your income. So, there's a classic definition of revenue management. This definition is used in classes and in universities and in books about revenue management. It's selling the right room at the right price to the right customer through the right channel at the right time, the 5 hours. This is the way we've been doing things for a long time. I've been doing revenue management for about 20 years. Starting off with an Excel file, and now, fortunately, we have software to do the boring stuff for us. This is still true. We still need to do this. But in Beyond Price, we started to go a step further. And we're implementing what we call customer-centric revenue management. And this is only possible because now we have access to a lot of data, everything is digital, and we can understand better the behavior of our customers during the booking process. So we need to know and understand the customer, and this has been mentioned a lot throughout the day. There's a lot of data here, and we need to analyze this. From all the customers, we need to identify which ones are the most profitable. Then you need to invest your time and resources in capturing these ones. And you have to make sure that you satisfy their needs better than your competitors do, because we live in a competitive world. And this obviously affects the part of operations. We need to make sure that we generate the best possible customer experience. So what we call customer-centric revenue management in Beyond Price, we want to put ourselves in the situation of the customer when the customer is thinking about booking a hotel, analyze their behavior, understand it, know according to what profile of customer is what they expect, and also know the elasticity of the market. Elasticity is the impact that price changes have on the number of sales that you get. If we think about the way you choose a hotel, if you want to go somewhere, you go through a decision-making process. Normally, these days, this decision-making process, you do it online. So, you want to go to a destination, you don't know anything about the hotels in that destination, what do? Normally, you go and have a look online, and the first thing that you look at is price, because you know more or less how much money you're going to spend. And normally, if you don't know the destination, you probably look in an intermediary, an online travel agent, or a TripAdvisor, or something similar, to see what sort of hotels are available. And here you can immediately see the prices. So you need to know whether your price fits in on this page with the other prices. You need to know how much your competitors are charging. It's very important that you know this. Then, maybe you narrow it down a bit. You've seen some hotels within your price range that you're interested in. What do? You look at their online reputation. What are people saying about them? This is also user-generated content, but in this case, this is comments or commentaries about the hotel. What are they saying about you? What are they saying about your competitors? This is your online reputation, and people are talking about your hotel all the time in many different places. Then you might compare services. What do I want? What kind of product am I looking for? Do I need to have a swimming pool? Is it family friendly? If I'm traveling for business, Does it have free Wi-Fi? Do I have a desk in my room? This is more related to the objective quality of your product. You have to make sure that they can find this information. And then, probably, as a customer, you're going to start comparing prices. This is a screenshot from MetaSearch. This hotel, fortunately, is pretty good at controlling their prices. This is a very difficult discipline, but as a hotelier, you need to know where your product is being distributed and how much it costs. And ideally, you would like your product to be at least as cheap on your own website as it is anywhere else. So this is the kind of thought process that you go through when you're thinking about making a booking. How much money have I got to spend? Within that price range, which ones do people like? What sort of services does it have? And by the way, now that I'm kind of made a decision, I'm just going to check and see where it's on sale and how much. And if you're lucky, they might go and look at your own website. And here it's very important that your own website is as attractive as possible. And if you can, the ideal is that they book directly with you, because it's probably a lot cheaper for them to do this than to book through a third party. So the process of making a decision, and we can see this online because we have data about the way people behave. You search by price, you compare services, you compare reputation, you do a price comparison, and maybe you consult the website. And we also know, of course, there's lots of studies being done about this, that people spend a lot of time researching their holidays online. These are a couple of different studies. This one was done by TripAdvisor about the life cycle of a traveler. People are looking at least a month before they make their booking. So you also need to be there, and people need to be looking at you. And this other survey was about the number of touch points that people have. In my previous job before Beyond Price, I worked for an NH hotel group, and we did some studies as well. And no country was below 25 in the number of touch points of information that people looked for before they made a booking. And in this study, it comes out at 38, as a matter of fact. Then you have to think that not all customers are the same. This is good. But if they're not all the same, then they don't all want the same things, and their experience is not necessarily the same. So you have to know what the customer expects. They could have a previous experience in this category of hotel, a global personal experience, they're a frequent traveler, they go to hotels a lot, they have been to a lot of different countries, they know what to expect. What are they looking for? I travel on business. And when I travel on business, I need a different thing from a hotel than when I travel with my family. I have a different budget as well. What options are available? What sort of products are there? What information is there about these products? What other experiences can I find? So this is opinions. What are people saying in Booking.com about this hotel, in TripAdvisor, in Holiday Check? Then obviously, what sort of budget do I have? And what sort of return do I expect on this money in terms of pleasure, not necessarily in terms of money? This all adds up to what expectation of quality I have. And based on that expectation, we can calculate what price range a customer is willing to pay in this situation. And this is different for each type of client. Let me just explain this with an example. In Beyond Price, we've tried to measure this. And we've created a metric which we call BQI, Beyond Price Quality Index. And we've tried to marry two different concepts. One is the objective quality of my hotel. How many rooms do I have? What star rating is it? Is it a brand? What's the size of the rooms? How many restaurants do I have? All of the things which are objective, real. And then we mix this up with the online reputation of a hotel. And you could think about this as The quality of my product is the objective quality of what I expect. And then the online reputation is whether, because this is comments of people who have already stayed, whether I met that expectation. So there's an objective and a subjective part here. We can measure all this with data that we get from OTAs and from various different places online. And it enables us to estimate and measure the probability of sale of your hotel. And let me just give you an example here. Here we have 4 hotels. In revenue management, we talk a lot about competitive sets. We always compare ourselves to people who are going after the same customers that we're going after. In this example, we have 4 hotels. They're all 4-star. They have the same quality. They have a similar product. They're in the same location, same room size, etc., etc. And they all cost 100 euros. In this situation, because there's no difference between them, they all have the same probability of sale. One doesn't stand out against the others. If we then say, okay, same quality, so here you have 4 stars, they're all 4 stars, now we've got some pictures, hey, this is good, but they're still similar product, although the style might be a bit different. They're still selling for the same price, but they have a different online reputation. So the score, 9.3, 8.5, 8.6. The probability of sale in this case is determined by their online reputation, because it's the only variable which is different. Same comp set, but now we notice that the variable which changes is the price. They're not all the same price anymore. They have the same reputation, etc., but the price is different. In this situation, what's going to determine the probability of sale of these hotels? The price. Why would you book the 120 euros one when there's one at 100 euros with exactly the same quality, reputation, etc.? Now, we're getting a bit closer to reality here, but still not. These hotels have a different reputation, same characteristics, different services. So this hotel has free Wi-Fi, has a spa and a pool. This hotel has free Wi-Fi, for example. So there's some difference here in the product. And they have different online reputation, so they have different scores. The probability of sale of each of these hotels can be calculated based on a mixture of their service and their reputation. So every time the variables change, the probability of sale of your hotel changes. In beyond price, this is the last example, sorry. Same category, same characteristics, different services, different price, different reputation. Now this is more like reality than the examples I showed you before. And here, when we calculate the probability of sale, it's a mixture of your quality, your reputation, and your price. And this is more like the real world. And we calculate this for our hotels. When we calculate it, it gives us a graph which looks a bit like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this, because this is a screenshot from our software. Here we have the quality of the hotel. This is the index I had mentioned to you before, our Beyond Price Quality Index, which is a mixture of your subjective and objective quality, your reputation and your product. It's a measure over 1,000, and you can see here, this is the quality of your hotel. And up here is the price. This line represents the, how much a person is prepared to pay for this quality, according to all of the price elasticity and all the data that we've been gathering. And then you have here the positioning of your hotels. So in this example, this competitor number 5, has a very low quality, but is also selling quite cheap. Then you have this competitor, which has a higher quality, but is selling at the same price as this one. Obviously, this one's going to get more business. And then we have our own hotel here. So this is your hotel. We have it in blue. And what we can see here is that in this competitive set, our hotel has the highest quality rating of all of them. But we're not selling at the most expensive price. Why not? Revenue management recommendation that we would make from Beyond Price is that you put your price up. And what we actually calculate here is your quality score, your price, and this is your probability of sale in a percentage. So what it's saying here is you've got a 21% probability of sale within your competitive set with the price you have now and the quality that you have. The difference here, and from a revenue management perspective, is that we also have your internal data, and we can see how much demand you have forecasted for this date. So you may not need to sell 21% of the demand for your competitive set. If you don't want to, because you already have a forecast to be quite full, we would recommend that you put the price up, because that will reduce your probability of sale, which is good. You want to reduce it because your forecast is that you're almost going to be full. So this is the relationship between quality and price, how this affects the way that you price your hotel. And we mix this data with your internal data, and all revenue management software look at your internal data, what you did last year, your pickup, what events are on, what's happening in the trends in the last few months. But we add in this additional data, which is a new source of data which can be found online. And this is what we call customer-centric revenue management. So you put yourselves in the position of the customer, in their decision-making process, and this is one of the pieces of data which feeds into our forecasting algorithm. How do you apply this? It needs to be, the customer needs to be at the center of everything in this case. You can use this, obviously, for your business strategy, price, also distribution, which channels do you want to sell on, which ones are more profitable for you, and in the future, your loyalty program. There's a lot of heat at the moment about loyalty pricing in the hotel business, because all chains now sell cheaper rates to their loyalty customers than they do to the public. Maybe you don't need to do that. Once you have more data about the customers, you might not need to do it all the time in the same way. You need to put the customer at the center of your strategy in this case. And I mentioned this before. Using technology of revenue management takes away all the boring stuff that you had to crunch numbers and make huge Excels and write formulas, because the systems do it for you. And they do it for you analyzing a lot of data. We talk a lot about big data, and it's true that there are much more data sources than we had before to help us to make our forecast and our price recommendations. A revenue management software should take all this data, crunch it, and give it to you in an actionable form so that you can take actions on your strategy. So we call this smart data. Take the big data, put it into the magic mixer with the secret algorithm, and smart data comes out the other end. And this enables you to make decisions much more quickly. Big data, we have lots and lots of data sources. We feed it in to a revenue management software, because we're talking about technology this afternoon. This has been briefly touched on before, but revenue management softwares also use machine learning now. This is the big change in the last 5 or 6 years in the way that forecasting and price recommendations are arrived at. And the forecasting algorithm learns from what happens in your hotel. This is really a huge advantage about the way we worked before. When I started 10 years ago, we had revenue management software in Beyond Price, in H Hotels where I worked. We had a revenue management software in 2006. But it didn't do any of this stuff. It was just an automated version of my Excel, more or less. But this enables you to take decisions in real time, and it enables you to adapt each and every hotel independently, because the machine learning learns for each hotel. And this should help you to manage your business differently. How does it help? You spend less time extracting data. Extracting data is very boring. It also has the risk of manual error. So if you can avoid this, it's much better. And in fact, you get better information. You get information in real time. It's not old. You can get information on your competitors' pricing in real time. You can get information on the number of sales that are coming into your hotel in real time. And this will automatically be fed into the system, and the system will automatically give you recommendations and give you forecast and recommendations on your strategy. And what does this do? This enables you more time to think about what you really want for your business. So the day-to-day, the tactical, the pricing, the yield strategy is given to you by the software. And then you can really think, what does my business need in order to be sustainable in the long term? And at the moment, we don't have any software for that sort of stuff. But what used to happen is that revenue managers spent so much time extracting data and analyzing it that they didn't have time to think about this. And this is the big change in the way you run your business, that software will enable you to think about what your business needs in the long term. And by that I mean, what sort of segments do I need? What sort of feeder markets do I need? How am I going to get them? And then we enter into the marketing part and the sales part. But often, hoteliers don't have time to do this. I'm amazed when I speak to people about the little time that is dedicated to the long-term strategy of their businesses. And this is something that with software you can change. This should make your decision-making easier, and I mentioned this before, but I strongly believe this. The strategy of your business is not the property of any one department. Marketing should be involved. Marketing is often based on the customer viewpoint, the B2C. Revenue management is focused on what the hotel needs. Operations make sure that you meet that operational promise. Because if you create a great expectation and you don't fulfill it, your online reputation is going to go down here. It's going to affect your pricing strategy. It's a vicious circle. And obviously sales. Sales many times is looking for the B2B angle, so which segments are coming in here. The strategy is the mix of all of these things. And as I say, in the last few years, all of these 4 areas operated completely independently of each other, which is not good. And we're seeing these converging now. And in marketing, for example, pricing, is this marketing or is it revenue management? I'm not sure. Who creates products? Why are they created? Who has identified this need for products? How do we talk to people with on our website? The sales dialogue? Who's in charge of that? This is a reduction of the silos in a company and pulling them together. And if you have all the data that you need and you can consult it at any time and you can let all of these people see the same data, it transforms completely the way you make decisions. Much quicker and much more consensus. And this is something that we really believe is already happening but needs to happen more. What do I mean by this? One tool for all departments. In my previous position, I worked for a big chain, and we used to go to meetings and sit down, and each department would pull out a report with some numbers on, and all of the numbers were different. It was very frustrating and very common. If you have one tool that can give you all the numbers, and you can give people access to it, because, hey, why not? This problem doesn't exist anymore. You could also have all your data in the same place. I haven't really mentioned it today, but a revenue management system pulls data on your competitors' shopping, how much they're charging online, what your competitors' reputation online is, whether you're observing price competitiveness, because we're not allowed to say parity anymore, and many sources of data. Instead of having them in separate reports, you have them in one place. This really helps you when you're analyzing and deciding what to do to see it all in one go. And this makes your meetings much more efficient and shorter. So there's a real transformation of the way that you should run your business if you have technology which helps you to do this. Then I mentioned that I don't believe that a cost of a revenue management software should be seen as a cost. It's an investment. But we have seen this in our customers. There are two types of return on investment when you invest in this kind of tool. One which we would call financial, which is that you see increases in RevPAR, generally, and sometimes quite significant increases in RevPAR. And also what we call organizational return on investment. So your organization becomes more agile, more efficient, and more strategic. Because at the end of the day, revenue management is not numbers, it's strategy. And this is something that really you should bear in mind. And having said that, if you want to know some more, I'm happy to talk, and please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nevi. Una presentación muy interesante. No sé si me dan tiempo para tener temps per alguna pregunta. ¿Sí? Any questions? ¿Alguna pregunta de la sala? ¿No? Yo tengo una para ti, Neville. ¿Cuál es el perfil del revenue management, teniendo en cuenta este tipo de herramientas?
The profile of a revenue manager has changed significantly in the last few years. 10 years ago, it was the typical freaky in a dark room with an Excel typing away and not speaking to anybody. This has now changed radically. It's very important now to understand technology because of all the things that we've seen. And it's extremely important to be able to communicate. And this is something that we did wrong before. There's no point having a fabulous strategy that looks beautiful on a PowerPoint and in your mind if you can't communicate this to the people who need to implement it. So communication has become very important. Online savvy has become more important. Commercial mindset. In the past, revenue managers and salespeople used to really rub each other up the wrong way because the revenue manager didn't understand what the clients were saying to the hotel. So it's really a very different profile from what it was before. And it's always needed to be analytical, and this will always be the case. And now that we have more data, you need to be very analytically rigorous, but the communication and the commercial part is equally important these days.
Okay, thank you. Una pregunta més? Doncs donem per conclosa aquesta tercera sessió i crec que ens informaran dels següents passos. Moltes gràcies a tots. Merci. Gràcies, Hiro, Dan, Christopher i Neville.
Doncs moltes gràcies al moderador, el senyor Albert Grau, i també a tots els participants d'aquesta tercera sessió. Només recordar que tots aquells que s'hagin inscrit amb anterioritat al còctel de benvinguda, sopar que es farà a partir de 8:45 a Caldea i Nu, doncs poden assistir-hi, que demà ens tornem a trobar aquí a les 9 del matí per iniciar la quarta sessió. Esperem que hagi estat del seu agrat i que hagin disfrutat d'aquesta primera jornada de la 10ª edició del Congrés de Turisme de Neu i de Muntanya aquí a casa nostra, a Andorra. Bona tarda.